That's not supposed to look like that, is it? I'm gonna check the no box on that. Welcome everyone to Sweet Home 3D. In this video, we are going to march on with the master bedroom series, but today we are going to do a tutorial. So we don't do tutorials much on the channel, but today we are going to. We discovered that when we were trying to change the texture for this bed, we could not do it. The headboard would not change. So we made the headboard red, and we were able to keep the other textures there. I like this bed. I don't want to change it. I like how the blanket is thrown across the top there. So I don't want to change the model. I'm really happy with the model. We just need to fix what's going on here. So today we will offer a tutorial. So as you can see there, there's the redwood, and then the headboard and the bottom there are all blank. So what we're going to do is hop on in here and show you how we fix this. So we want to follow along. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is we want to copy and paste. Well, before we get into that, let's just show you in real time. If we pick a texture like that one there, that floral texture, then we go ahead and try to apply that to our headboard. As you can see there, it skewers it. It looks funky. It's not supposed to look like that. So it makes for an awful presentation. So again, this tutorial is about fixing that and how we go about doing it. If there's an update to this, then we will offer an update. But for now, this is how we know how to do it. So I'm going to Control C and Control V, and I'm going to copy this bed because we're going to tear it apart. We're going to break it down, and we're going to keep the parts that are defective, right? So we're going to go ahead and hop in here to our dialog box. Take a look at our model, and we're going to delete the pieces that are good and keep the pieces that are defective. I think that's what I said the first time. All right, so there's the headboard. You can see there the rear and front support, and then the base of the bed. Those are the pieces that we have to keep. Unfortunately, that's just the way that is. Not too much worried about the front and back supports, but that's what comes with the headboard. So that's what we're going to have to rebuild here. So I'm going to go ahead and export this. This was a little fast, not going to lie, but we'll show you at the end how we go about the export and import process if you don't already know. As you can see here, we're going to give it a name, and we're going to export to OBJ, and we're going to give it a name, relative to our model. So we have, what did I put? Master bedroom bed, something like that. So there we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop over to Creation Station. There it is. And we have this bright blue bed, bright blue bed there. So we can see it, or maybe so I can see it. Anyway. So let's go ahead and move along. So I want to get the dimensions. I want to get my width, and definitely want to get the height here. That's the most important. I want to get the height. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the walls. We're going to draw walls to replace our defective pieces. Right? So we're going to go, what is it? Control M, I think, brings up this menu. And our wall height, we're just going to copycat that. So 4.7. Thickness, it doesn't really matter, because we don't have a thickness, right? So we're just going to have to play that by ear. It'd be nice to be able to, dial down into the model to get the different pieces or dimensions, but we can't do that, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and draw the walls. Now, for me, I like to draw four-sided walls. And the reason is, if we just use the ends of the walls, those ends of the walls are usually inside, another wall. The ends of the walls are not made for texturing or for show. They're connected to another wall, usually. So if we draw four walls here, you can see they'll texture. All four sides will texture, okay? They'll look great. All right, so the next step here is, now we have four walls. We want to make that kind of a single wall. So we're going to move these together. We want to just touch them. We don't want to overlap. And once you start overlapping, you're going to start tearing, and it's going to look not the greatest. Kind of, you would kind of go back to square one to some degree, at least on the top edge. All right, so where are we at here? We're going to import the bed. I don't know why we did this. I don't, because we're going to use the bed that's already there. So we're going to forget this step. I must have been doing something myself, but here's the important part. We're going to import that headboard that we just finished, right? So we'll go ahead, continue. We're not messing with dimensions at all, and when you know it, there's your headboard. And it doesn't skewer, it doesn't do anything. Now, it's not connected to the bed, but we'll show you how to go ahead and do that. So that piece there, forget about it. We're going to just kind of overlap that piece so it won't even be noticeable. Sometimes it does that. Didn't realize that component of the model was a thing. So, all right. We also brought the bed into the room. I don't recommend doing that. I would try to build away from the house or the project that you're working on. But as you can see here, the sides look great. It's scaled in a little too high, so we need to kind of back off the scale there. But for all intents and purposes, it is looking great. So we're going to continue. We need to put the front and rear supports and then the base of the bed. So that's kind of where we're off to now. Excuse me. So, been yapping my jaws all day long, and so yeah. And then we go and do a video. That's great. That's professional. All right, so we're going to try to do the front support there. So we're going to go in our miscellaneous folder, Ben, whatever, and we're going to find the box, and we're going to spawn that box. All right, that's now in Sweet Home. That should be in there by default. If not, it's on the website. So now we're just going to, in our 2D screen, we're just going to draw this out, stretch this out to match the front support there. All right, and then we can do our height and all that. So we just do step by step. We can do the width, we can do the height. It doesn't matter in which order. You're just trying to mimic the pieces that are defective. So it can be a chair, it can be a table, it can be a shelf, a wardrobe, right? Whatever it happens to be. Now, when you're getting into more traditional items and models, it can be a little tougher. Not gonna lie here, but since this is more of a contemporary piece, it's not so bad. So here we want to put in we want to fabricate the base of the bed. So we're going to do that. Again, it would be nice to dial in each component and get its dimensions, but we can't do that, but it's okay. All right, so again, we're going to do this by eye. We're going to try to get the depth, the width, and the height all together here. And we'll just work it in little by little. Again, we're just going to do it visually because we don't have those numbers. So there we go. That looks fairly good. So that's pretty cool. All right. So what do we have here? What is this piece? Oh, I think that's the front support. Okay. So we're just going in. We were just texturing that, just showing that at some point you can texture this. Everything's going to have to be textured before we export this. And yes, we have to export it. So as you can see, that rear support is overlapping. It's just a matter of moving things left to right, getting things right. We will have to address the height there. And my voice is really bad. Excuse me. My goodness. Okay, so that's really cool. So now our next step is to export the bed. And the reason we want to do this is because we want to make all our components one piece. If we want to move this bed to the other side of the room as it stands now, you would have to move the headboard, the base of the bed, the blankets, everything. So we want to have everything as one model, right? That's the way it should be. So I'm going to get this pesky ceiling fan out of the way. And once we do that, we can begin. So using the mouse button, we're going to long press the mouse button. And what we'll do is kind of scroll over. You'll get like a gray film there, as you can see. And you can highlight the pieces that you want to export. You can do a lot of other features with this, but for our video, we're going to export this. Okay, so there we go. So in my journey with Sweet Home on my system, it likes me to bring up the importer. Well, we'll get to that. First of all, I'm getting ahead of myself, but for some reason, the export to OBJ is off screen, but it's at the very bottom there, and it'll say export to OBJ. And there we go. And it says OBJ right there at the bottom. So we'll give it a name, again, relative to the model that we're working on. We don't want to say like, bookcase and it's a TV or something. So we'll go ahead and do bed finished because it is finished, right? So we'll go ahead and hit save. So now it's going to ask us, do we want to export all or do we want to export selected? Well, we want to export selected, of course. So we can either click that, right? Or what I like to do is just tab over. I can tab over, and once I tab over, you see that it's highlighted, and I'll hit enter on my keyboard. Voila. And done. It's going to save and done, right? So now we want to spawn that complete model back into our project. How do you do that? So we are going to, again, as I was saying before, I was getting ahead of myself. For some reason, you have to open the importer first and then File Explorer in Windows. Not sure how this is going to be on a Mac or Linux or Ubuntu. I can't pronounce it. Ubuntu. So, but I'm going to go ahead and open my File Explorer, and I'm going to look for the file that I just saved. And there you go. All right, so there's the model icon that we want. That's the only piece that we want. We don't want any of these here. This is just telling us there goes my phone. That's telling us our textures and the properties and stuff like that. So we just want the model here because all that's in that icon. Okay, so we'll go ahead and scoot that over. This is our complete bed again. Now at this point we can inspect the model. This is where usually if I'll get a model from one of the sites, whether it's Sweet Home or I'll go to Archive3D, I'll go ahead and inspect it. I can zoom in, I can zoom out, and I can make sure the model's, everything's okay before I continue. I don't want to waste my time if the model's broken. I'll find some of the models are broken, and that's nobody's fault. That's just the way it is, especially when you're getting models from a third-party site like Archive3D. All right, as you can see here, we don't have a headboard. I don't know why the headboard, why we didn't highlight it, because I'm sure we did. I'm sure we did. But for the sake of the video, we're going to carry on, and we will get back to that off camera. All right, so there it is. This is giving us our orientation, right? How this is going to look when we spawn it in, and especially when you're dealing with dimensions. If you're going to do dimensions later on, this is how we will set this up. So I look at the left view and the right view, or the left view, and then, make sure everything's good there. Here, I'm not going to mess with any dimensions, right? Because we're good there. Maybe down the road, if we need to do that, that's fine. But that's after we spawn the model in. Then we can go in and do that. All right, the next thing is we'll hit finish, but we're not because, again, there's no headboard. So that will wrap up this tutorial. Again, we don't do a lot of tutorials on the channel, but if you're new here, consider subscribing and clicking the bell, and you'll be notified anytime we release a video here on the channel. But I want to go back and just say, hey, thanks for watching, and we're a small channel, but we're trying to grow. But thanks for watching, for visiting the home of virtual home creation. Signing off for now. Goodbye, everybody.